current leading candidate to be the Republican nominee for president of the United States is facing 91 charges in 4 indictments and has been impeached twice. Not the best candidate for president of the United States. Problem is, the other candidates aren't great either. Like the man of the moment, Vivek Ramaswamy, a billionaire entrepreneur, author, and political newcomer who has a lot to say, and a lot of it not good.
Let us be honest as Republicans. I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax.
I'm sure the boogeyman white supremacist exists somewhere in America. I've just never met him. Never seen one. Never met one in my life, right? Maybe I'll meet a unicorn sooner. Ayanna Pressley, she's in the Congress today. She's a member of the Squad. Her words, not mine. We don't want any more black faces that don't want to be a black voice. Ibram Kendi wrote the book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. Here's what it says. Opening lines. The remedy to past discrimination is present discrimination. These aren't my words. These are the words of the modern grand wizards of the modern KKK. Really.
Helping us launch our new segment, I'm just not that into you either, is a former Republican congressman from Florida and MSNBC political analyst David Jolly. David is no longer with the Republican Party. David, I wanted to have a segment where we focus on why any Republican candidate for president is bad for America, period. I know we spend a lot of time on our show and other shows talking about Donald Trump, but I think it's important to highlight why the other candidates are just terrible, too. So let's start with what you just heard in that segment at the beginning from Vivek Ramaswamy. Yesterday, in an interview with Rev Al Sharpton on Politics Nation, Vivek doubles down on his comments regarding Massachusetts Representative Ayanna Pressley and the KKK. It was a tense moment. Take a quick listen.
Have you taken any time to reflect upon the possibility that comparing your political rivals to murderous terrorists might put their lives in danger at a time when hate crimes are on the rise? Or do you just don't care?
Yes, I do think there are echoes of a historical, ugly racism in this country now showing up in new clothing.
To say we
and
don't
want to lead us to as the next president
just a second.
is a
to say
united
that we
nation
do not want
where we
black
don't actually
voices,
judge each other on the color of our skin.
To say that is not going with sheets and burning crosses and lynching people. If she said something you disagree with,
the point I'm making,
you cannot equate Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan with somebody saying something that you think is a little controversial or a little too far. Some of our relatives were terrorized by the Ku Klux Klan. I'm trying to get you to understand the pain
I know you're
of
intellectually
that.
honest.
Growing over what a second Donald Trump presidency would mean for his adversaries. During an interview with conservative media personality Glen Beck, Trump sent a warning to his political opponents about what would happen if he is reelected.
You said in 2016, lock her up. And then when you became president, you said, we don't do that in America. That's just not the right thing to do. That's what they're doing. Do you regret not locking her up? And if you're president again, will you lock people up?
Well, I'll give you an example. The answer is you have no choice because they're doing it to us.
Let's bring in Miles Taylor, co-founder and senior advisor of Forward, former Department of Homeland Security chief of staff, and author of the terrific new book, Blowback, A Warning to Save Democracy from the Next Trump. You're the perfect person to talk about this. I'm curious, first of all, your reaction to this, Miles, and who might Trump target if he gets back in the White House?
Well, you're looking at one of them, Alex, and I only say that half facetiously because I've had a lot of conversations with folks for Blowback and for other things about what Donald Trump would do in a second term. And I think it's very, very clear from those conversations that a second term of Donald Trump would likely be a last term of American democracy because of the intent to go weaponize democracy's guardrails, especially the justice system, against his adversaries. Now, a number of folks who worked in the Trump administration with me and have since spoken out against the ex-president, we joke darkly about the fact that in a second term, a number of us will be in orange jumpsuits in Guantanamo Bay. And I say that the comment is half facetious because Donald Trump actually did have a vision while I was in the administration to go use the terrorist prison at Guantanamo Bay to house political prisoners. And in that case, what he wanted to do is use it to move people from the southern border to send a message and put them in the same place where people like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the mastermind behind the 9/11 attacks, sits behind bars and send a message. Now, the only reason Donald Trump didn't start sending people to Gitmo, and this is true, is that he was convinced it would be too expensive and the facility couldn't house the number of people he wanted to send there. Now, that was the mindset of the man when he was president of the United States, and you have seen him since double down on his intention to, again, use the justice system for political purposes, and specifically admitting that he would do so to go after his enemies.
Well, welcome to the show. Today I'm Keisha Powell. We are going to discuss that commentation that we heard from CNBC and MSN on President Donald Trump run, and also Vivek Ramaswamy. And you could tell with Reverend Al Sharpton that it didn't go well for Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Al Sharpton is trying to drop Vivek Ramaswamy to do some kind of like follow us and make black people, victims, because that's how the blacks at the top make money, by saying we black people are victims. But Vivek Ramaswamy slammed the Reverend Al Sharpton. Sharpton, you had that one coming. Not every black person believes in the Democratic Party. So let's look at what they're saying. You know that President Trump did not jail Hillary Clinton, even though people were saying, lock her up, lock her up. He didn't do that. And now we're seeing lock him up, lock him up, lock him up. We're seeing the opposing side trying to lock up their opponents. Things are low. But why is it so low? Because America owes 32 trillion US dollars. And if you calculate that, divide that by 100 years, we'll only pay off 3 trillion point 2. So America, get used to the inflation. Let's look at Joe Biden's accomplishment since he got to office. 14.9% is where inflation is at since Joe Biden took office. Thank you, Joe. We love expensive stuff. That way we have less money. In July, inflation was at 3.2%, despite the government with interest rates. It didn't work. Biden economics, that's what we're in. Food is high, gas is high, groceries up 20% under President Joe Biden. How do you like that, young people? Energy is up 38% because of Joe Biden. Remember that $40 a month gas? Those days are done because of Joe Biden. And used cars are up 15% under President Joe Biden. 1.5 for a used car. Can you imagine that? Forget new car. That's 45% up under Joe Biden. I can go on and what's up from President Biden. What's down is money. People lack money because of President Joe Biden. So I took some of these stories from liberal media, the New York Times. In May, inflation was 4%. Inflation is supposed to be under 2.2%. President Joe Biden has not been able to contain the inflation under 2%. Wow. Core inflation is at 9.1%. Biden has brought the inflation in May to 4%. Do you remember when President Obama became president? We had the biggest housing crash and people went broke. That was all the houses got whoop, 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 crash. And now everything doubled because of the Obama administration. Do you see how big government is destructive? Quack, quack, cuckoo. Okay, what about Silicon Valley Bank? Remember President Joe Biden shut it down because they were doing crypto? That cost taxpayer $20 billion. Now the list goes on and on and on for days. And since we don't have days to talk about it, let's talk about the ways you can hedge yourself against inflation. By the way, JP Morgan has a segment coming out called the US dollar being de-dollarized. Why is the US dollar being dollarized? Well, President Joe Biden, they have racked up $32 trillion. And like I say, you divide that by 100 years, you've only paid $3.2 trillion. So you're still going to be owing trillions of dollars 100 years from now. That means our kids and our grandkids and our great-grandkids are going to come and get these inflated prices. America wanted socialism, AOC, and Nancy Pelosi, President Joe Biden, and Schumer, they all promised socialism, and it's here now. So socialist country owes $32 trillion. We're no longer the capitalist country we are. They do not want you to work hard and be successful. Instead, they want you to stay home, and they'll give you a check. So the three ways you are going to come out of debt: you're going to save, you're going to invest, okay? There are 4,800 lenders in the United States. Call one of them and set up a mutual funds today. Retails are coming on the internet. And so we have 30 tag products by Neiman Marcus. Why physically go drive to a retail store when you could be watching TV and shopping at the same time? I tell everybody, everything you see I have on, I buy from over the internet. I have not shopped at a retail store in ages. I live on Amazon and Shopify and YouTube. That's where I get all my products these days, and TikTok and Facebook. And I'm telling you, people, start shopping on the internet. It's the future. It's not the past. Folks, go ahead and hit that free like and that free subscribe button. Therefore, we'll bring you the latest breaking business news from the United States. And for our premium members, we will be releasing jokes once a month, and we only releasing it under the premium stuff. And people know that when I'm funny, I am funny, because I'm one of the writers. I've been writing for over 30 years now. So hit that free like and that free subscribe button. It helps the TV channel a lot, and we want to bring you the latest breaking news. Please check out the tagged products. I'm Keisha Powell, and here's a joke for you. When Joe Biden is running for office, he's going to be 80 years old. What do you think he looks like when he knows his opponent might be Trump or Vivek Ramaswamy? This is what he's going to do. I'm running for office? What is office? I'm 80 years old. I'm president of the United States. I'm also president of the inflation.